hardly tell, but this whole side right here is washed out. You can see I'm sitting sideways. You can't hardly tell, but I'm sitting sideways in the skid steer. And what happens is there's no ditching on this driveway. So when it was first installed, it done all right a little bit with a bigger rock, and then they kept needing it repaired, and people just kept putting 57s on it and rock, kept throwing rock at it, and it didn't hardly get what it exactly needed. When you're going down through here, don't mind my big crash shirt, when you're going down through here, you can see the ditch is the right side of the road. Like, it takes like a 4-wheel drive pickup truck to get up here. I'm going to clean some of this out on the right hand side, make a small ditch, crown up a nice road, gather some of this that's been wasted down over the years, kind of push down here and wash down. This part ain't too bad. There's our new pile of dense grade. We got plenty of base rock. Then as you start over this hill, it's all right for right now. I kind of got a ditch to the left, just needs a little TLC. As you go down this hill, it gets pretty wild. It's got some big ruts, and it's mostly from just not having a ditch. It's the left-hand side over there is the ditch. There's not a. It's right in the track where the vehicle would run is where the ditch is. So you can see it's all. It's kind of bumpy here, but it's washed out. It's hard to tell on camera exactly, but it's just washed out all over the place. But we're going to take care of it for them. Here's the finished product. This is road bond, dense grade, whatever you want to call it. This is the only thing I'd put on a hill like this. It's got the fines in it and it compacts down. But to the right, you'll notice the ditch ain't like a big deep ditch. It's got solid rock in it in a couple places, so you have to work with that. But sitting here looking at it, you can see I don't want to mess with this bank. It's kind of like a crumbly topsoil, and I don't want to get nothing moving or anything. It seems to sit there pretty good, but there's water coming out of the bank 3 or 4 spots, and then right there is a big rock. I got it down enough. The road is crowned. I also always shave off these edges on this outside. Some people may feel safer with a berm, you know, and that, you know, I guess makes sense. But if you berm up any side of the road, the ditch starts becoming right into the road. So it's safer to have a nice crown on a road and good and wide like this, and a ditch that's shallow, and if you have trouble you can ditch it or hug the ditch side. But there's only a certain amount you can do when you live on a hill. You have to deal with the driveway the way it is. But I did the rough grade and got it all right and barely crowned it. Got it really close, that way when the truck driver spreaded the dense grade. He does a real good job spreading that dense grade. When he spreads that dense grade, it's on top of what I built. It's got the form underneath, and that makes it easier on him and me both. I don't have to spread so much with my bucket. All the work's done before he gets here as far as grade work. But here is the difficult part of a driveway up on the side of a mountain. You always got different ways you can approach the switchback. If you got plenty of room like this one does, the best thing I can tell you is you try to make the turnaround big enough. Hopefully you don't have to back up, and I don't think they will on this. But if you can, I'm trying to take the skid steer and not tear up the, just back up. But if you can make the turn and hit this straight, kind of get your vehicle lined out before you hit it. It's a little steep, and it was washed out really bad. Solid rock showing right up toward the top, so you can't cut in a big ditch, and you don't need to. But this one was a little more difficult. I spent about a day on this because you couldn't even get a four-wheel drive up to the top, hardly. You could, but it's about like rock crawling. This whole side was built up. It was probably a foot lower and maybe 2 foot than this side. So I cut this down a little, built this up a little with some dense grade and some existing gravel that was there. The way I do a ditch is water can raise and be all the way over to here running slowly. The more it wants to get to a point, the more it's going to cut. So you want it to stay spread out a little and let that driveway just shed water. You don't want it to collect and run down the driveway. You'd rather it shed it off. And then as this comes down in the switchback, the ditch will empty, and this the other hill starts over. Get rid of this water. This water is going to flow right down past the skid steer and go over the hill over there. Then this is all level until a certain point, and then when it breaks over, the water should shed left and right, and then shouldn't have a lot going down that ditch. So, but there you go. That's the finished product. Like you go out here, this road's level right here. Not really even a ditch. It just kind of sheds the water off, and then it starts. The only thing I would say that was possible if a person had the budget and kind of could allow for it is maybe halfway down this hill, put a culvert in about halfway and let it empty once. But I think the road should shed the water pretty good, and we'll just address that if we need to. But there's so much solid rock on the side of this hill here, it'd be hard to deepen and get much of a pipe in. You might get a small 8 or 10 inch pipe maybe, but I think it'll be all right. The road is high. The middle of the road is probably a foot higher than this. It don't look like it, but it crowns off pretty good. And this ditch is low. It was low before we put 6-8 inches of dense grade on top. So we'll see how this works and how it works out for the customer. I'd like to get out here when it's raining and see how it's working. Here's after a wild rain. We'll see how the driveway handled it. Got a little bit of dirt come off the edge there. This is a steep driveway. You can see it's come a wild storm. Looks like the road held up. It's raining right now. It don't seem like it's raining that hard, but it's a wind, a whipping and a raining, so I didn't want to get out and get soaking wet, get sick. But the driveway turned out really good. It looks like worked as planned until I get up here to this next spot. I may get out up here and show you guys. This is where we're going to turn around at, but let's get out right here and do a tour, because it looks like it's working great. But customers wanted me to look at it because it being the first rain, so we'll see. Let's see what we got. And I wanted to look at it and get some footage. The biggest problem you run into, the driveway held up great. The biggest problem you run into is leaves gathering. So the driveway is doing really good. This one little spot here, but there's a lot of water comes out of here on this side over here. There's a lot of solid rock and gets its speed up. But it's an empty one. It looks pretty good. You can see we're way up on a side of a mountain. But it took the path I wanted it to, and it didn't get up on the road. But we got her running back, just a few leaves here and there. 98% of the road still left, we're good. A few leaves caused us some trouble. Let's go down there and look at the other end. This done great. No water problems down through here. I got to crown the road a little better. There's some sticks fell, some leaves, but if you'll notice, the ditch stayed right where it needed to stay. I want to say this is working as planned right now. Got the old inspector, it shows up here every time I'm here, old white dog. There's a little bit of where you Cummins people, little exhaust sound. I'm gonna call this one good.